It's no secret that I play a lot of Pikmin. More than 99.9% of the world's population guaranteed. Specifically, I've found myself playing through a multitude of Pikmin 2 mods, and one question that I'm always asked is which of these mods is my favorite. Pikmin 251 has custom enemies, a new type of Pikmin, remixed areas, and awesome music. Just listen to this Gerudo Valley snippet real quick and tell me it's not absolutely fire.
Like, is this just the plot of day one is to get this pine cone? Dude, the music's going crazy. Like, it picked up from like a single like bell to like a whole freaking, it's a whole band.
Pikmin 2 Power Cut has a unique nighttime aesthetic while still keeping and building on what makes the original Pikmin 2 so good. Pikmin 2 Lands of Torture and Pikmin 2 Kaizo crank up the difficulty in such a way that it appeases the inner gamer in me, forcing me to reevaluate how I take on a game's challenge. Pikmin 269 has insane custom Pikmin, enemies, treasures, areas, and music, as well as a level of polish that should not exist for a game this fueled by memes. They made switching between your two captains even more seamless. That's how well crafted of a game it is. While I can recommend all of these to longtime Pikmin fans who want to mix up their Pikmin playing experience, there's one mod that I regard as my absolute favorite, Pikmin 2 Colossal Caverns. This game may not have any of the bells and whistles that some of the previously mentioned games come with, but for some reason, I find myself constantly recommending it to both new and old fans of the series when they ask me which of these games they should play first. Now, why is that? What, in my opinion, puts Colossal Caverns just a cut above all the rest? Well, first, let's talk about what makes Colossal Caverns unique. Here's a map of the progression of your average Pikmin 2 game. For the most part, outside of the altered enemies, areas, Pikmin types, and caves, this will be the progression that almost every single Pikmin 2 mod follows. But Colossal Caverns tosses this map out the window in the most interesting way. Pikmin 2 has a number of sublevels that can be randomly generated, but the treasures, types of enemies, and general feeling are still retained pretty much no matter what. Colossal Caverns, by its own design, ambitiously compresses the entire progression map into a single randomly generated sublevel. To me, the beginning of Pikmin 2 has always been a slog to get through, as you lack any real autonomy until you arrive in the perplexing pool for the first time. Colossal Caverns trims the fat off of Pikmin 2's campaign and offers a unique experience every time you start a playthrough. So let's chat about how it does so. Colossal Caverns takes units of sublevel generation from these vanilla caves and stitches them together to form a messy labyrinth of rooms, tunnels, obstacles, enemies, and treasure. All 201 treasures available in Pikmin 2's story mode are obtainable in this single sublevel, and every single boss retains their original Explorer Kit upgrade. This is vital to both the success and replayability of Colossal Caverns. Experienced players know the treasure gauge can be found in the Empress Bulblax. However, instead of having to mandatorily slog through the Hole of Beasts to retrieve it, this Empress Bulblax might happen to spawn on the complete opposite side of the map, making the journey to recover it uniquely special. This applies to every boss and every upgrade available. You may happen to encounter the pileated Snagret first, or one of the ranging Bloisters, and get access to the Metal Suit Z or Megatweeter way before you can even acquire the treasure gauge. A given run of Colossal Caverns instead can look like this, or even this. Certain Explorer Kit upgrades are more useful in Colossal Caverns than in base Pikmin 2. For instance, the Knapsack, while mostly useless in Pikmin 2 outside of some fun sequence breaks, is vital to the general efficiency and traversal of this massive cave. The aforementioned treasure gauge, however, while normally an excellent upgrade, is substantially nerfed by the inclusion of every single enemy in the game. The treasure gauge can't even be utilized until after the 3 antenna beetles in the cave are dealt with. Thus, acquiring it early in the run ticks a box, but doesn't net the value you may ordinarily associate with it. These little nuances compound into each other, allowing the player complete autonomy in deciding how to best progress through each randomly generated run. One player may be playing for leisure, and be working their way through the sublevel room by room, simply dealing with whatever they find in there, while another may prioritize speed and thus be tempted to find and locate the important enemies and upgrades while completely bypassing large chunks of the sublevel. Colossal Caverns allows the player to establish their own goals, make important decisions on the fly, and most importantly, does not limit the player's progression in any capacity. You will never be forced to unlock the yellow Pikmin onion prior to obtaining the blue Pikmin onion, as these beats are laid out in base Pikmin 2. There are no electric gates, poison bramble walls, or any especially hefty paper bags, like in the overworld of Pikmin 2. So no individual type of Pikmin is required prior to progressing. I know this is 100% philosophy of Colossal Caverns, as even these poisonous hazards right here have been changed to cycle in the same way as a fire geyser, allowing any type of Pikmin to destroy and clear it. The way Colossal Caverns encourages and enables the player's autonomy is highlighted in small changes like this, and allows it to feel fresh and unique every time. Reshaping the campaign of Pikmin 2 with principles primarily found in traditional roguelikes is truly ingenious, and there are no words that can be used to express these progression barriers being broken and the freedom provided to the player because of it. This freedom to play how you want is further accentuated because of the numerous options that are provided to you before you even begin your descent into the cave. When you boot up Colossal Caverns, instead of being met with the traditional Pikmin 2 title screen, you're brought to a UI that has a large amount of important customizable parameters, and immediately we're hit with some seriously groundbreaking stuff. Firstly, you can change the player count. Originally, Pikmin 2 only had the capability of letting 2 players spelunk at the same time, and only during challenge mode, but Colossal Caverns allows up to 4 players to command the Pikmin at the same time. These captains aren't just limited to Olimar, Louis, and the President, as there are a number of custom captain models put into the game, including, but not limited to, all of the Copilots, the ship captain from Pikmin 251, the carrot captain from Lands of Torture, a bread bug, Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peppino Spaghetti, Old Man Jenkins, Rubber Ugly, Perry the Platypus, Knuckles, Vaporeon, and even the Imposter. That's not even all of them. Although results may vary, as certain characters have a tendency to immediately crash the game. Looking at you, Jirachi. Colossal Caverns offers the player the option to, for the first time, bring their Pikmin's onion into the caves, and lets the player repopulate their army underground. Otherwise, you'll start with a limited number of Pikmin, 25 reds, 25 blues, and 25 yellows. Additionally, there's an option of adding 2 more onions to the cave with a custom purple and white Pikmin onion. These onions will be generated in random rooms throughout the cave, and finding one to increase your numbers is vital to clearing the cave as fast as possible. As long as we're talking about Pikmin numbers, Colossal Caverns offers the player the never-before-seen ability to command a maximum of 200 individual Pikmin, double what the vanilla game series has ever allowed. This helps in defeating enemies quickly, collecting larger quantities of treasure, and lets the player explore for longer without having to replenish their numbers or call Pikmin off a given task. 200 may seem like a lot of Pikmin, and some of you may even see that as making the game too easy, but I promise you that in the expansive fortress of the Colossal Cavern, you'll wish you could have even more. If this still seems too easy for you, and you're a Pikmin masochist like myself, you're also able to alter enemy parameters to your liking, being able to adjust their stats to buffed versions from other ROM hacks, including the aforementioned 251, Lands of Torture, and Kaizo. There are also options to generate more unique terrain using extra units, as they're called. But beware, this can lead to some graphical errors and extremely odd terrain. All in all, each of these parameters allow the player to tailor-make their spelunking adventure. Someone may want to farm 200 purple Pikmin and steamroll the cavern as to make them feel like a man again, while others may opt for no onions and increased enemy difficulty. Truly, there is no wrong way to play, and these options do so much heavy lifting when it comes to an individual player's taste. Oh, and if you're not even looking to play Pikmin 2 at all, there's a mode where you can control the water wraith and a giant bread bug just for fun. That's not to say the player has total freedom, as the Colossal Cavern is far from a forgiving place. This is a massive overhaul from the relatively tame sublevels that Pikmin 2 forces you through, and it should be stated that no matter what difficulty you play on, Colossal Caverns is much harder than your average Pikmin 2 playthrough. Let's chat about what awaits the player in the cave, shall we? Let's start with the enemies, of which there are 7 dwarf red bulborbs, 7 dwarf orange bulborbs, 5 dwarf bullbears, 8 snow bulborbs, 5 red bulborbs, 4 orange bulborbs, 4 hairy bulborbs, 2 bullbears, 3 fiery bullblaxes, 3 breadbugs, 5 volatile dweevils, 4 caustic dweevils, 4 munge dweevils, 4 node dweevils, 4 fiery dweevils, 7 hermit crawmads, 7 watery blowhogs, 7 fiery blowhogs, 7 swooping snitchbugs, 5 bumbling snitchbugs, 5 creeping chrysanthemums, 6 skitterleaves, 2 gatling groinks, 8 anode beetles, 6 careening dirigibugs, 9 idle bomb rocks, 3 puffy blowhogs, 3 withering blowhogs, 7 cloaking burrow nits, 4 mamutas, 2 of each red, yellow, and blue candy pop buds, 3 of each purple, white, and queen candy pop buds, 2 idle clusters of about 20 spectralids, 5 cannon beetle larvae, 5 decorated cannon beetle larvae, 4 toady bloisters, 6 gray wallyhops, 6 yellow wallyhops, 7 female sheargrubs, 7 male sheargrubs, 8 shearwigs, 8 water dumples, 8 walpoles, 4 lesser spotted jelly floats, 3 greater spotted jelly floats, 9 poison pipes, 9 electric wires, 9 fire geysers, 5 honey wisps, 8 eggs, 3 flint beetles, 8 falling rocks, 2 glint beetles, 2 doodlebugs, 3 antenna beetles, 2 bulbmen, 2 giant breadbugs, 2 ranging bloisters, 2 empresses, 3 emperor bullblaxes, 3 burrowing snagrets, 1 pileated snagret, 2 beady longlegs, 1 raging longlegs, 1 minute-legs, 1 segmented cropster, 1 water wraith, and 1 titan dweevil. Yep, good luck dealing with all of that with 75 Pikmin, no onion enthusiasts. Cause it's not like these enemies are in their own little rooms and predictable. Oh no. See, Colossal Caverns has this knack for grouping enemies in the most inconvenient way possible. Every single room can look and feel like the Dream Den sublevel 10, which for those of you unfamiliar with that sublevel, okay, this one's a doozy here. We're gonna have a ton of water, limited space to stand, lesser spotted jelly floats, fiery blowhogs, and water dumples. Well, that sounds... We'll even put in a couple gray wallywogs for good measure. Oh, really? And we're gonna have a gatling groik. Alright, Dream Den sublevel 10 it is. This cave is beyond me, and your run can go up in literal flames at any given moment if you're not careful. On top of this, your captains are entirely unable to heal, so you also, for the first time, have to be mindful of your HP, as having a captain go down makes the entire rest of the cave extremely daunting, and makes these guys near impossible to defeat. So I've mentioned how boss enemies retain their specific kit upgrades from the vanilla game, but not how some of these upgrades are altered and specifically designed for Colossal Caverns. Take Beady Longlegs for example. Like vanilla, it'll drop the key, which instead of unlocking challenge mode, will instead, like challenge mode, reveal the geyser, which allows you to ultimately leave and end your run. But what about bosses whose treasures aren't one of these Explorer Kit upgrades? Well, since we've talked about the randomly generated layout of the cavern, as well as the hurdles for progression, let's get into exactly why Colossal Caverns is my favorite Pikmin ROM hack. Those of you who've been around the channel long enough know my obsession with speedrunning Colossal Caverns. I've spent hours trying to lock down the best possible run and improve my time to the sub 2 hour mark. There are exactly 3 bosses that drop items that are vital to the successful speedrun of Colossal Caverns: the segmented cropster, the raging longlegs, and the burrowing snagret. Let's chat about the cropster first, as most of the beginning of a run is spent trying to get this oversized crustacean to drop from the sky. In Pikmin 2, the cropster drops the iconic silencer treasure, a high value but useless treasure for progression. However, in Colossal Caverns, the cropster's drop has been altered from the silencer to the spherical atlas, normally found in the Emergence Cave and normally unlocking the Awakening Wood. In Colossal Caverns, this is no longer the case. Instead, the spherical atlas will allow your Pikmin to carry items much faster than they can in the vanilla game. Of course, this speeds up treasure getting back to your ship from the absolute furthest reaches of the cave, but it also lets Pikmin carry defeated enemies back to their onions to propagate more of themselves, much faster, speeding up the entire gameplay loop. This boss drop is far and away the most important treasure you're going to collect in a given run. Next, in a similar vein, we have the Raging Longlegs, who drops the Geographic Projection. This half of the globe normally gives you access to the Perplexing Pool, but in Colossal Caverns, it gives you access to a complete map of the cave, allowing you to chart your course and preventing you from getting turned around. That's one thing about Colossal Caverns. Even if you're traveling one way to get to an onion or room you haven't cleared, there's absolutely no guarantee that the generation will even connect rooms in an optimal way, forcing you to take detours or side paths, sometimes literally circling the entire map just to get to a single room. Finally, there's the burrowing snagret who drops the 5-man knapsack, which is used to allow your captain to finally take a break. I mean, damn. They've been out here in this cave fighting for hours of their life. You go to sleep, little Peppino. Shut the world away, and just forget about the hundreds of enemies who want you dead. The knapsack allows the sleeping captain to be picked up by Pikmin and transported passively to any of the onions in the sublevel. On no onion mode, this translates to the Pikmin bringing you the Hocotate ship satellite instead. This, combined with the Crobster's drop of the spherical atlas, allows your Pikmin to effectively bring your captain to a specific location of your choosing. While it's not nearly as effective as Pikmin 3 or 4's Go Here feature, it still allows you to move your second captain efficiently in the background of your playthrough. You can cancel this movement at any point, meaning if you're paying attention, you usually can set your Pikmin on a course to bring the captain relatively close to where you actually want them to be. While we're here on the topic of captains at onions, it is worth mentioning that idle captains will pluck Pikmin sprouts from the ground if they're close enough. And I really mean close enough, because the range for them to activate this auto pluck feature is not generous. This can happen anywhere, not just at onions, so you could just leave an idle captain by a used candy pop bud or after the gardening demonstration from a Mamuda, and they'll get those Pikmin out of the ground off screen, no problem. Smartly using the knapsack to divide and conquer the cavern is vital, but since there are 3 Snagrets on any given run, it always feels like a mini victory when the first one you kill is the one who was holding the knapsack all along. The spherical atlas, the geographic projection, and the knapsack are definitely the 3 most important boss drops, but special shout out to both the man at legs who drops the stellar orb, which lights up the cave and even allows you to see in this extended overhead view of the level, and the water wraith, whose pluck-a-phone saves minutes of time plucking the Pikmin by hand. Oh god. Wait, no, I wasn't ready. Oh guys, it's getting closer. Oh no, what do I do? It's killing everything in sight. Oh my god, run! If I had to select a single enemy as the face of Colossal Caverns, it would be the segmented Crobster. But the water wraith, as many of you are aware, is the poster child of Pikmin 2 and its harsh and unforgiving nature. The water wraith, as a near unstoppable force, pursues you through the cave and does its best to strike the fear of God into you. If it catches you, hug a corner or try to juke it, otherwise you're going to be losing dozens of Pikmin under the stone rollers it moves around on. The water wraith doesn't load in at the same time as the rest of the enemies, instead dropping from the sky after 200 seconds, or 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The water wraith cannot be killed before you access purple Pikmin by finding one of the 3 purple candy pop buds that spawned in. But here's the craziest thing about Colossal Caverns, is that you don't want to kill the wraith. At least, not at first. See, the water wraith is destruction incarnate and has the capability of not only destroying entire armies of Pikmin, but also entire hordes of enemies. Enemies that could take you a ton of time to kill are just butter to the knife that is the wraith. Let's give you a quick scenario here. Say you're running from the wraith and you happen to run into a room with the Empress Bullblacks. Yeah, she's doing her thing, producing those little turds and getting in the way of the route back to base. Now, you could distract the wraith with one captain and fight her with another, but the alternative solution is simply much more effective. The wraith one-shots every enemy, except the cloaking burrow nit, but that's an entirely different thing. Instead of slowly whittling down the Empress's health and idly standing by as you wait for her to finish her attack pattern, you could simply lure the wraith to come over and take care of the job for you, saving minutes of time and perhaps even some of your Pikmin's lives. This decision applies to every boss in the entire game, and the longer you can lead the wraith on his path of destruction, the more it'll help you in safely clearing the cavern. Let's pivot for a moment and talk about the Tale of Icarus. No, not that one. Icarus, given wings of wax by his father Daedalus, was able to fly into the sky. His father warns him not to fly too high, but Icarus, with giddiness and hubris, ends up flying a little too close to the sun. This causes his wax wings to melt and Icarus to drop out of the sky, plummeting to the sea and eventually drowning. Now, why am I taking the time to tell you this old Greek myth in a video about a Pikmin 2 mod? Well, if you, the player, are Icarus, then the water wraith is the sun. This guy is not easy to redirect, uncooperative at best, and catastrophic at worst. This is where the scope of Colossal Caverns can work against you, as one moment you can be leading the wraith down a hallway, only for it to turn around down some random corridor and start heading to the other side of the map without your permission. You might lose the wraith, and all of a sudden, just as you think you're safe, you'll see your Pikmin numbers drop. That's the wraith, most likely, or a bullbear or groink, but only the wraith can kill your Pikmin that fast. It is not easy to get the wraith to work for you, but it is hyper required to try and efficiently clear rooms as fast as possible. Take the Titan Dweevil for instance. Normally, this fight can take anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes depending on your Pikmin numbers and the terrain that it spawns on. The Titan Dweevil is much harder to take down in Colossal Caverns because of the random generation, making its attacks much more deadly and unpredictable. It would be best to outright skip this fight by having the wraith squish the final boss under its might, but that requires the player to lead the wraith in the first place, which can provide mixed results. Trying to lead this unhinged wrecking ball through the corridors of this cave is one of the most frustrating pieces of Colossal Caverns gameplay, but successfully doing so is beyond rewarding. Watching the Titan Dweevil bounce in the ground after it's been squished is such a nice feeling, as upon activation, it just explodes and disintegrates. There are, of course, certain pieces of generation that the wraith can get stuck on, and even areas it outright won't traverse. So if the Titan spawn is in one of these dead-end corridors, you're gonna have to fight it, or reset the run if you're me. Once you're finished with the wraith, assuming you have purple Pikmin, you can then dispose of it and continue on with your run, Pluckaphone in tow. That is to say, if you have purple Pikmin, as without purples, you really still only have one option: run. So now that all of the pieces have been laid out, let's see how they all come together.
It's like I can't throw my Pikmin if he's on top of the world like this. Dude! Oh my god, these are the silver. Those are the silver. Come on! Come on! Come on! What is going on? Let me up! Parry! I can't.
You can't see the Crupster. It is this man's legs, who are positioned in a not so comforting way. Oh. Pikmin 2 Colossal Caverns is hard, and so much of that has to do with the variety and combinations of enemies trying to seamlessly work together to make your life as miserable as possible. Trying to break down a bramble gate? Odds are there's a fiery blowhog behind it who's gonna jump scare you with a jet of flames through the wall. Trying to take down a careening dirigibug? Just wait until you get grabbed out of nowhere by a bumbling snitchbug floating somewhere off screen and carried to a place where you can only watch as your Pikmin flounder without their leader. The main draw of Colossal Caverns for me is not only the difficulty, but the near infinite combinations of enemies and hazards that create unique challenges to overcome. On top of these trials, because of the generation, there are times where you'll see some really strange stuff you can't normally see in a vanilla Pikmin 2 playthrough. Here's the water wraith stuck in a box. Here's a Wallyhop taking a really crazy angle while jumping. Here's an Empress waking up because of a Bomb Rock's blast to the face. Here's a Gatling Groink who's in jail. Here's the Raging Bloister's particle effects lingering simply because of how it died to the wraith. All of these things will never be seen in the vanilla game, but with the infinite possibilities of Colossal Caverns, I end up seeing something new almost every single time I play a session of CC, and I think that makes it special, especially with how optimized Pikmin as a series can tend to be. One of the main draws of the Pikmin franchise for many people, including myself, is the idea that you're racing against yourself in a way. You're always encouraged to explore things faster and more efficiently on repeat playthroughs. This theme persists through Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2's Challenge Mode, Pikmin 3, and Pikmin 4. Even if you're not trying to improve your time on a repeat run, there's always the incentive to try and lose less Pikmin. This comes with familiarity to an enemy's attack pattern, as well as just general combat experience. If you're looking to get good at Pikmin 2, then I highly recommend Colossal Caverns, as after a few hours in this cave, Getting through a cave like the vanilla Snagret hole seems like an absolute joke. Colossal Caverns encourages you to sharpen your Pikmin skills by nature of its roguelike design, on-the-fly decision-making. You don't know where anything has spawned, and you're in charge of what you want to prioritize. Maybe this run gives you a really close blue Pikmin onion, and an extremely early set of 2 violet candy pop buds. Perhaps you had to waste your bitter sprays early because of a really nasty set of enemies. Maybe the Crobster dropped from the sky immediately, and then teleported through 2 walls, crushing 50 of your Pikmin right from the get-go. Either way, it's a new set of tools and parameters given to you at the beginning of every single playthrough, and it's your job to use those to end up with a successful run. There are some times where you might just be forced to reset, but every single descent is a new challenge, giving it near infinite replayability. There's something really satisfying about watching dozens of treasures all make their way into your ship. And as a small added bonus, there is no cutscene upon a treasure's collection. Instead of ripping you out the moment, there's a small text box and a cha-ching of the Pokos, similar to how it works in Pikmin 3's challenge mode. You all know how I feel about having my gameplay interrupted by a treasure collection cutscene. I don't like it, so this is a much needed optimization for the game to feel even more seamless. This really fleshes out the real-time aspect of real-time strategy, as since you can't predict what you're going to encounter, you have to make more of your choices in real time. It's a perfect complement to the building blocks of the Pikmin series, which are already incredibly strong. Pikmin 2 Colossal Caverns is my favorite way to play Pikmin 2, bar none, and I hope that this video did a good enough job of explaining why. There are just so many little nuances that make Colossal Caverns special. It was near impossible to try and vocalize everything. But like every game, there's bound to be some flaws. Because of the terrain generation, Pikmin are substantially more likely to fall into what I call the void, and occasionally even more just absolutely unfair situations. Sometimes Candy Pop Buds try to spit Pikmin in places where Sprouts can't be, effectively deleting the Pikmin entirely. This always stinks when it's a purple Pikmin, as in 3 Onion mode you only get 15 of them total. Enemies and hazards clip through walls all of the time, and while it can be predictable, sometimes it can be devastating if you're unprepared. In addition, since you're only given 2 sets of Bulbmin, if all of them end up dying and there happens to be a treasure hidden underwater left, you're out of luck and soft-locked out of 100%ing a cave. Oh yeah, Bulbmin can also find treasure underground. I guess they really can do everything now. Please, Nintendo, why did you forsake them like this? They did nothing wrong. Simple mistakes can be absolutely run-destroying. This unforgiving nature is something that I praise, but that's only because I'm a maniac on the internet who plays extremely hard games for money. For your average player, this is probably a little bit overtuned. However, if you're a Pikmin player who's looking for a way to spice up your next run, or just fiending for more levels of content, I cannot recommend Colossal Caverns enough. Thank you all so much for watching. I really had a good time dissecting Colossal Caverns this thoroughly, as usually when I'm asked about what makes them so great, I'm actively focused on surviving them. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like since it helps the video get to more people. Special shout out to the dev team behind Colossal Caverns, and for all of you at home, happy caving!